Well, welcome to the week of walk. What's hit the ground this week for July the 4th, our ninth show? Well, Ncuti Gatwa has been happily promoting Palestinian rights, showing his ignorance of LGBTQ rights in Palestine. We've got Chris Eccleston discussing his interest in femininity, while the debate about toxic masculinity rages at the same time. Unfair rap on men, is that? The BBC says no more all-male panel shows, and much more besides, of course, we will discuss tonight. I don't do it on my own. Of course, I have a certain other person to help me with the wokest of them all, and that person is the queen of the woke. She brings decorum, but I won't give her a red carpet. Here she is. Here's Rachel.
Oh, still no red carpet? Hello.
I know, can't afford it.
That's fair. That's fair. I'd only strut. Be careful.
Can you imagine me if I had a red carpet? You wouldn't see it.
No.
It's like, I mean, yeah, there's a red carpet, yeah. So, plenty to discuss. I'll give you a little taster there, Rachel. So, Ncuti Gatwa, he's Mr. He's right on, he's political. Mr. Miracle's lipstick, sounds dodgy that. EVITA outside balcony. I kissed a boy complaints. Nadiya's cookery complaints. Easter cancelled. I know it's June, but it was cancelled in some places. The BBC panel shows. Ian McKellen's been going on about being in the closet. Chris Eccleston and toxic masculinity and that adolescence lesson that Keir Starmer wants everybody to do. So I suppose we better get going.
We better had.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Here we go. So, first one. This only I just saw today. So this German footballer has been suspended after he refused to sign a fan's pride jersey, saying, "I won't sign that gay shit." but
Sorry.
I mean, it's blunt, but
Straight to the point.
But I'm thinking, why is he being suspended? Is it because he's used a swear word to a fan, a little kid? Is it because of the political agenda? Because, to be honest, just because I'm a good footballer doesn't mean I have to agree with everything my football club does.
Of course not. Of course not.
We had
It's a statement. I won't sign that. Page 20. Sorry.
Whether we agree with what he's saying or not, the point is I do respect his clarity.
It's straight to the point. I've forgotten your question now. I'm still laughing about that. But no, he doesn't have to if he doesn't want to. And to be honest, he's a footballer. Why should politics? Why should ideology play a part in what he has to do as part of his job, which is kick a ball?
Yeah.
I know it's so much more than that. There's much more dedication than that. I know you're a football fan, but to me,
no.
It's just kicking a ball.
We felt the same about when it was all the, black rights and we're going to kneel before kick-off and all the rest of it. And we thought, come on, just get on with the game.
Yeah.
And they spent all that time on black rights. But I noted, I'm not bothered because I don't think politics should be in sport. But when it came to pride and everything, they had a rainbow shoelace. It was so subtle. It wasn't up there on a par. I thought
they haven't really done that this year. Have you noticed?
I hope they haven't, because it's meaningless. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely utter meaningless.
There's hardly any of the businesses in my area are displaying the pride flag or selling pride merchandise. There are the ones that do, that I expect would do.
Yeah.
But
I do sense something's happening. I'm not saying everything's amazing. I think people are so out of Stonewall, and I think I think that the trouble is, I'm worried about a backlash hitting everybody in sight because that LGBTQ covers a lot of people. And I'm just concerned that it's going to start getting a little bit worse. But anyway,
It might
yes,
do.
I think people are going, I don't want anything to do with this. So, these are my tasty morsels just to warm us up. And this one, of course, we have such hot weather in Britain. If you live abroad, oh my God, Britain, it's absolutely crazy. Um, so hot sometimes, at least 3 days of the year. And we, here we have good old London Underground, the nanny state. Please carry a bottle of water with you at all times. You can use it to beat yourself to death with when the heat becomes too To avoid flooded carriages, make sure to direct all your perspiration into the provided sweat gutters. There is a high possibility most passengers will smell like some prawns that were abandoned in an alleyway 6 months ago.
Is this real?
I think it's sometimes they do a joke one, don't they? Because
That's true.
they give everybody a bit of humour for the day. But
There
whether,
was when I went to see Strictly. Sorry, just
yeah,
sidetrack. We saw it. I saw it at the O2, and it's going up the escalator. As I'm going up the escalator, I see London Underground announcement because obviously the underground that I was getting off at is located right next to the O2, and there's this whole like handwritten sort of like monologue on this paper talking about Strictly Come Dancing. And it was full of jokes, and they were ribbing everyone.
and I think it's good that if this is true, I like the humour.
Yeah.
It's just that they also don't check everybody's Oyster cards, and everybody gets through apparently and doesn't have to pay. So maybe check that a bit more than.
Yeah.
But anyway, there you go. I thought you'd like that one. I managed to keep a straight face so long there. Now, Nadiya Hussain, she won the Bake Off,
Chef.
and then
Yeah.
she had loads of series of various cuisine. Well, she's had a good run, and obviously the TV industry's decided that's it now. We're axing your show. So she suddenly says, it's really difficult as a Muslim woman. I work in an industry that doesn't always support people like me or recognise my talent or my full potential. And as a lot, gaslighting makes you feel like what's actually happened isn't happening. So for me, it's a huge, huge change for me to lose this show. Can I just remind everybody, right? So there's Nadiya. That is the list of all her shows that have been on the BBC. She's had a good run.
She had a very good one.
I mean, she's had a really good run. I mean, my God, fads, times change, Nadiya. I don't think there's any race issue. I don't think there's any I
No,
just.
I don't think this is anything to do with race in this case. It could be money, could be funding. Maybe her cost has gone up the more famous that she's got. You
And
know, I
maybe,
mean, remember they axed Mary Berry, didn't
yeah,
they,
I
from
mean,
the Great British Bake Off? Was it that one? Yeah. And so Sue and Mel walked out on principle.
uh,
Yeah.
it, is that,
Mm,
again, you think, look, I think this is a commissioning decision, budget decision,
yeah, sometimes.
editorial decision, or it could also be, can I say the truth here? If you see the amount of shows she's done, maybe they've milked that subject dry.
It's possible.
And so there you go. It's over.
Were these all BBC?
Yep.
So she could go to ITV,
Yeah. If she's
Channel 4.
if the merit is there, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't start doing a quote saying the world is hard for me. Oh, it looks it, love. It looks really hard. Gosh.
Nah, it's definitely not. Definitely not. And
Yes.
she'll always write books and things like that. And to be fair, she's in England where she has more freedom.
Yeah, and maybe. Oh, I mean, I just think,
I
wow.
mean, not that I'm going to judge her home country or anything like that. I obviously don't know, but I would have thought that she'd have more freedom anyway.
free for all in Britain, I think. Ncuti Gatwa spoke at a pro-Palestinian protest outside Parliament just days before his sudden on-screen exit in Doctor Who, which we also remember. It's great that he's politically motivated. I think
Yeah.
I applaud his bravery. I applaud his and so of course he came under fire, as you remember, because he didn't do the Eurovision attendance. He was supposed to be the jury spokesman for Britain, and then he backed out last minute. We all suspect because Israel got into the final, and he obviously didn't want to announce points for them at any point or something like that. So now it can be revealed that 2 days before his final Doctor Who episode aired, he spoke at a pro-Palestinian demonstration outside Parliament. He stood in front of a banner reading Gaza, actions, not words, and spoke at the Westminster event, blah, blah, blah. And, of course, the Barbie actor had withdrawn from his role as a Eurovision Grand Final spokesman. It will prompt renewed speculation as to his motivation. And all I say to you, Rachel, is, as an actress you'd love somebody to pick up the phone and say, do you know what, Rachel, I've written a part for you.
Yeah.
Actors and politics. And the reason I'm saying it is he may no longer be Doctor Who now, but he was Doctor Who when this happened. And I think I always felt he pushed his luck all the way through his very short reign as Doctor Who, unlike Tom Baker and everyone else who played it very safe and careful with what they did.
Yes. I would say so. I was going to point out, you notice at the top how it says the Barbie actor, not the Doctor Who actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You almost wonder whether the media's already turned on him. I don't know, because to say Barbie actor diminishes him, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Or it was proofed before it went out, and they said change that. Don't attach it to Doctor Who. It's a murky one when actors get involved in politics. He didn't obviously directly attach it to anything that he was promoting. So when that happens, it's like, I mean, well, what can you say? It's more dodgy when he attaches it to something, obviously, but
I find it interesting that the way they use the argument representation. So he's the first black Doctor Who. It's very important for representation.
Yeah.
Him and Verada Sethu, you mentioned it before, when they're in the TARDIS together going, oh, a lot of people would be so peed off with us being in the TARDIS. Blah, 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 blah. And so we are aware of our representation and the importance and significance of it, therefore, even though it's got nothing to do with the script.
Yeah.
But he doesn't apply the same representation principle to, well, if you're representing black and gay and everything there in the right-hand shot, how come in the left-hand shot you're not equally therefore representing the show you're on, Doctor Who, which is a family show, a British family show, and actually regarding Gaza, Palestine and Israel, slightly iffy regarding getting involved.
Yeah, well, for him, yeah.
well, I mean, and also don't sound ignorant, because it's a complex issue, let's be frank. And in one of the complexities of that whole Middle Eastern thing is, if you are talking about Palestine, etc. I was actually watching a stream today where a Palestinian scholar was stood up and he was talking about what would happen to people like me.
Scary, isn't it?
Yeah, so Ncuti Gatwa, I'm conflicted that because he did do the Nigerian special Doctor Who when he talked about the amazing Nigerian barbershop where they're so embracing, and of course people are dying in the streets in Lagos for being gay. So RTD, Ncuti, and the writer decided to tell us a myth. And yet other times they want to tell us the God's honest truth. And that pees me off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no consistency there.
Nah.
No, it's not right. Yeah, I find it very murky. He didn't tie it to Doctor Who. It's just interesting that this happened before his on-screen exit for Doctor Who. I wonder I wonder if he felt, well, because I've left Doctor Who, I can now go and do something like that and say what I want and do whatever that doesn't involve the Doctor Who fans. I don't think he perhaps thought it through as to perhaps the type of a backlash. Had he done it perhaps like a few weeks later, it might have not been so controversial. But I mean, what can we do? We can't really say much. I mean, it's up to him if he wants to do that. But
He was quite.
it's
I think
dodgy.
he was.
It's dodgy.
I get the impression he was representing Doctor Who in the UK jury spokesperson role because it was linked with the same night as the Interstellar Song Contest,
Yes.
his show that is still on telly, and I think RTD got him the gig, and oh, darling, it's a nice double kind of marketing of our Doctor Who, yeah, and of course he couldn't do it. Him and his agents, that whole team of agents he has, I think couldn't live with the fact that once Israel got to the final, he might have to utter the words Israel 12 or 10 points.
Well,
And
which
that was
would have been completely ironic because it was Israel that got the 12 points, wasn't it?
Yep. And it's all this kind of, I
Or
cannot
we
say that.
wanted 12 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why can't he, when he talks about representation at that basic level, you know, does it matter that he's a black actor playing Doctor Who? It shouldn't. And equally, Israel is more than everything he thinks it is. Israel is also a country that entered actually a good song. And as an actor, isn't he happy just to say, well, my country, if he's happy to say my country has given you 12 points for your musical talent, nothing to do with politics.
Nothing to do with what's going on. Yeah.
Couldn't do it. Too much.
Oh, well, Sophie Ellis-Bextor could.
She certainly could.
It was the judges' vote. The judges' vote didn't give the 12 points to Israel, but I believe the public did.
Yes. Yeah. Helen Mirren has no problem. I believe in Israel and the existence of Israel, and I believe Israel has to go forward into the future for the rest of eternity.
Okay.
I suppose I would still argue actors and politics, but I just wanted to show you the counterbalance to be a balanced show. There you go.
Someone can have an opposing view, and I would imagine that would be very difficult to try and cancel Helen Mirren because she wouldn't give a damn.
But I just wanted to show this cartoon, though, this illustration, though, that, you know, it's just the thing about the media lovies, the actors, certain people in the media love to just show you one selective fact, one version. So, you know, like he'll talk about Palestine without actually thinking, well, God, LGBTQ would be a bit of an awkward one. He just ignores that fact because it's awkward. And it's just like that with all the interracial violence crime incidents there. And of course, the media might focus on that little bar graph in the middle and not some of the other ones because that's awkward.
I've seen some interesting videos. I don't really get into the politics of Palestine.
No.
And Gaza. I don't really cover it on my channel. But I've seen some very, very, very intriguing videos in the last sort of year about Israel and about Palestine. And I'm not going to say any more than that. But I'm like, that's when you put it like that and think of the bigger perspective, that's interesting.
The thing is, I think we're being cautious and we're wise. Unless we are scholars in it, it's not worth wading in because ignorance is not a nice place to be. If I feel as though I'm not on top of my brief, I won't go onto that issue.
No, I don't.
And so it's not worth it because it undermines the issue by doing that. I wish Ncuti would think the same. Because I don't think he's a scholar of Middle Eastern politics.
I would wish any actor would do that, and particularly if they're like of the LGBT community, which we know Ncuti is, look into their stances on that. I saw an interesting tweet from India Willoughby saying she stood with Iran. the other
Oh,
day.
God's sake.
Yeah. And I was like,
Well, I suppose,
okay.
well, I suppose India Willoughby would, because on the logic, a lot of Iranian men are actually forced to go trans to be acceptable. They're forced to be a woman, then admit they're gay. So
Mm.
maybe India Willoughby's on, but come on, India, come on, get the brief.
I mean,
Yeah.
you still got to look into it, and uh, India stands up for LGBT across board, has a massive vendetta against J.K. Rowling.
Yep. We see
And
these.
India's a journalist, so come on.
Yeah, we see these actors, as you know. I remember when we covered this. Good old Varada Sethu. We had the Supreme Court ruling on trans women are not women, and while she was working on Doctor Who, trans women are women. And then
Mhm.
she said, "What a sad, hateful bunch of humans. What a disgrace to this country. I'm so sorry to my beautiful trans family. You are so, so loved." And so, you've basically
Is
both.
that said without little research as well, though?
Well,
It's just clarifying definition.
well, it's fascinating that you've got the Supreme Court in the country, learned, scholars who are just reading the law as their career, and this actress who was quite happy saying that they're peeing off the British public because of their skin colour and they're sat in a TARDIS set, suddenly is booling into an area where I think lawyers know a little bit more. But there you go.
Yeah. I would say so. I would say so. And if they actually paid attention to what was said, they obviously looked at the time period for when this was also written as
Mm,
well,
mm.
from what they were saying, and they decided that's what it meant at the time, but say that trans women are still protected from trans people, sorry, are still protected from discrimination
Yeah,
and
yeah,
harassment.
yeah.
So, and which is fair enough. They just needed to clarify that. It doesn't mean that oh, well,
Yeah.
yeah.
The thing is, you're trying to be careful. We
Mm,
try to be careful. Certain people don't. Sorry, not you. I'm
I I
that
know what you meant. Oh, right, it was the other way today.
yeah, yeah.
I used to go
Yeah. This one, yeah, this is like the highlights of the year, isn't it? Primary school scraps Easter service to respect other religions. This is what I mean. The word respect's doing a lot of hard work here. Respect means you've also should respect your own religion as well. I mean, come
yeah.
on. The fury as primary school scraps Easter service to respect other religions in a move branded disgraceful. The letter, I'm going to read it out, but this is from the primary school head teacher, Miss Manda. After careful consideration and discussions with our school community, we have decided not to hold the Easter bonnet parade or the Easter service this year. This decision has been made in the spirit of inclusivity. And all I will say to you, Rachel, is if I looked up the word inclusive, that means all. And she's
With
just
everyone.
said we won't do the Christian bit.
Yeah, so you're excluding a
So,
a group. That's
so
probably
this,
a larger demographic.
yes.
Yeah.
So let me get this right. So a well-paid educationalist who's responsible for the education of a whole primary school has just said something that makes no grammatical sense. Okay, got it. Right, got it now. Yeah. That I'm trying to be extremely inclusive, therefore I'm going to exclude. Thank you very much. Thank you. Your head? Oh my God.
Aren't schools supposed to teach religious education, religious studies? I don't even know what it's called at the moment. It was religious
Yes.
education when I was at school.
Yeah, and but the other thing is, Rachel, and you've been in teaching Easter bonnet parade. Come on, ban that.
And all the children that might have been looking forward to that, and they're like, "Oh no, I wanted to do that."
We used to do for Easter. I mean, like I said, I was a Catholic school, but we didn't go that big. But we had you bring in an egg and you paint it,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, yeah,
you have a competition. So
yeah.
it was really exciting. Nothing to do with God, but it was an excuse to get Easter. Ah, for God's sake.
My RE teacher in year 4, I think it was, he was the deputy head teacher, and he was Muslim. And guess what he taught me? Christianity.
Bless him.
And he just got on with it.
Yeah, which is his job, isn't it?
Yeah, that's his job. Yeah, and
I,
he taught it as it should be taught. And then when he was teaching us about Muslims as part of the curricula, he didn't try and enforce anything onto us or anything like that. He didn't tell us that Christianity was wrong or anything like that. He just did his job.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that is the essence of public service.
Yeah.
And equally, even though I was a head of year in charge of 300 kids pastorally, I never mentioned my sexuality because it was irrelevant.
Yeah.
It was irrelevant.
Yeah.
The LGBTQ came up, of course it did.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't bring my. It's not a belief, is it? It's just what I. And it's the same because I'm a public servant.
Yeah.
I'm paid by the British taxpayer just to teach
Yeah.
what they have agreed on as a country. Nothing to do with me. I
We
just wish
we
other.
we only knew that he was a Muslim because we asked him.
Yeah,
We asked him outright, "Are you a Muslim?" I remember that, and he said, "Yeah."
yeah,
Fine. We were like,
yeah,
"Okay,
yeah, yeah.
cool, fine,
That's what I mean. Yeah, yeah.
fine,
So
don't matter."
next, of course, it did play into a bigger debate. So we've got, will they cancel Ramadan in Britain? Will they cancel Diwali? And this is the point. It
Mm,
that I have to say, I will call out that primary school head teacher. Stupid, utter
silly.
stupidity. It's not respect; it's disrespect. Um, and then you see that, like the BBC are pushing it now. We had Eid live on BBC One. They were really going for it as the
Oh.
state broadcaster. Which
My delivery companies that I work for made a point of Eid and saying, "Oh, we're going to put a boost on." Okay. Where's our boost then for our holidays?
I'm interested. This is what I mean. It's all about equality, everybody. Equality.
Mm.
And what I'm finding is one or two other religions that aren't actually the legal religion of this country. Let's state that our state is set on Christianity. Are getting promoted massively
Yeah.
beyond representation stats. And yet the Christianity bits in some liberal schools and liberal places is being dismissed, cancelled, erased.
Yeah.
That's not equality. And that's why people sometimes get their backs up. I'm nothing against Muslim, Islam, this, that, and the other, but it doesn't seem balanced.
There's no balance to it. You see these posters. I think I mentioned it a little while ago. Believe in Allah posters that were going up around my area. They gave out they've been giving out English versions of the Quran as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really pushing it. So
Yeah.
now, Chris Eccleston, bless him, our ninth Doctor.
I'm interested in this. I
Yeah.
haven't seen this. Okay.
Yeah. Sack Julie Gardner, sack Jane Tranter, sack RTD.
Fantastic impersonation.
Oh, it must be the northern bit. No. So this is from his autobiography, actually. Since childhood, he had suffered from body image problems. He wanted to be androgynous.
Okay.
Still do, because I feel like a prop forward, but he knew his mum and dad wouldn't have tolerated their kid dabbling in eyeliner on the streets of working class Salford, where he grew up. I could do all the male stuff. I was captain of the sports team and I'd get very physical on the field. But I also had this interest in femininity. When I did my first play at Eccleston College, Lock Up Your Daughters, I wore mascara and I was like, this is effing brilliant. I was expressing on the outside what I felt on the inside. Now, there's this and there's a few other bits I'll show you, which is he has had to fight an awful lot of issues and he's acknowledging it as a dad of two, married man, accomplished actor. He's had to face a few issues. And I wasn't being cheeky when I said sack Julie Gardner, RTD, and that, because we all know as Doctor Who fans that statement he made. And I'm going to bring it into play in a minute regarding he's RTD goes on about dark times for trans, dark times for gay rights.
Yeah.
Okay, right. You're a very tolerant, caring person, RTD. Does that cover everything? Because your main actor in 2005 was dealing with issues too.
Mm-hmm.
And did you show due care as his boss? That's
Makes you wonder, given what he said. And I reckon he might even start talking soon.
He's getting a bit further, isn't he?
Mm.
I mean, this is, I have to say, this is good stuff because as a bloke, and you know, they have their male caves now, you know, that they advertise them everywhere where they're trying to get men to talk, they're trying to limit the suicide rate, they really are
Yes.
trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, yes, we need lads to start talking more. And he's just doing his version of what's happened to him, and so it can only help. And
Well, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe because he'll have a lot of role models from Doctor Who. Maybe they'll see this and they'll be like, well, if he's talking, maybe I can do the same.
yeah, but just like you said, you know, you were a tomboy, but you're a woman, of course,
Yes, of course.
and
Yeah.
all the rest of it. He's not. He's not. This is what I mean. We need more of this stuff in a way. It's honesty. I'm not saying you have to just manufacture it, but basically, in the spectrum of you being a man or a woman, there's a whole spectrum of femininity, masculinity, and you shouldn't judge people on, oh, that means they're trans, or it means anything, or it means they're gay. No, he's just saying what it is. He's a straight bloke. He's a married man. He's got 2 kids, and he's saying, even though I looked like what I looked like, I quite liked indulging in the feminine side. And I have to say, I think that's a very fair assessment that too many men feel forced to really go heavily alpha male nonsense. And I think that's where the disaster starts.
Yeah. Yeah. Another man who used to say things like that was Eddie Izzard.
Yes, and he's been on a slightly different journey. Yes.
Yeah, now, yes, but back in the day, he was like, I'm just a straight man who likes to wear women's clothing sometimes.
Yes. Action transvestite, he used to call himself.
That's what he used to call himself, but apparently not anymore
No, in fact, that word seems to have disappeared.
altogether.
Yeah, amazing. So this is, and by the way, I'm not critical of this. I am
No,
applauding this because number one, it's very brave to do that. He's got that very northern, you know, projection as an
yeah,
actor.
and he can be quite alpha male, come across
Yeah,
that way, can't he? Yeah.
yeah,
So this is why I said it's probably a good thing.
yeah. So he said that. I'll have to go bigger again so you can see
Yeah.
it. This covers a few different issues, Rachel, on our walk agenda here. He said I was ashamed about my depression and eating disorder, and that, you know, this is big stuff. The actor talks about how he found his way back from a breakdown and anorexia. It is unusual for a celebrity to want to discuss anything than the thing they were promoting. He's been interviewed by the Telegraph here.
Okay.
But it turns out Eccleston had his reasons for changing the subject. His book focuses heavily on his previously undisclosed struggle with anorexia and a mental breakdown so intense that his priory psychiatrist described it as one of the worst cases of clinical depression he's ever seen. Eccleston, 55, found it easy enough to write his account of the trauma, but the subsequent task of promoting it is far tougher than he had expected. Now, this is what he says. It became very difficult going on Lorraine, right? Lorraine Kelly.
We had
So,
Lorraine last week, didn't we?
yeah, and because she's lovely and she just wants everyone to get on,
Yeah.
and trans people are having a hard time. Anyway, going on Lorraine, says Chris Eccleston, for instance, when you've got a couple of minutes to try and be articulate about anorexia, I think of myself as really quite robust, but I felt very exposed. And I just want to say the last thing at the bottom there because we can bring it into our woke debate, which is he also cast his mind back and said when he was on the One Show, I mean, can you imagine going on the One Show to talk about clinical depression and then straight after that they did a piece about badgers? Do you know what I mean? The poor man is opening his heart up,
Yeah.
heart and soul, and I get it. I get it. How difficult it is. You can't just say, "Yes, I was very depressed, and I suffered from wondering whether I should end my life, and I did it, and and I've got a show out tomorrow." Yeah, come on, you can't talk like that.
No.
And Lorraine Kelly, caring, everybody should love each other. Yeah, it's
Lorraine would be, I know, again, it's that daytime TV stuff, isn't it? But Lorraine would be probably the better one of the two to talk about that
yeah.
because of how she presents.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you go, oh, that's bad. Sorry about that, Chris. I didn't
yeah,
know. And I know, and it just opens you up a bit. But I think he'll have felt, of course, he'll have felt, he's a man with a certain image, which he's been battling. And this was the point of his book. And as he's opening up about body image and femininity and masculinity and the battle in his head and how it might make him dissatisfied and depressed. Oh, I mean, come on, there's a lot going on there. And come on, you've only got 4 minutes. So, and this is the problem with our caring media, Rachel, which is my point, which is ITV and the BBC are very caring and
yeah.
inclusive, and we like to represent everybody and every minority, and oh, we're lovely people. But they still do the 5 minutes. Come on, we've got a Badger moment in a minute.
It's a shame that Piers Morgan doesn't do that one-on-one with the celebrities that he used to do, because that would have been a good one for Christopher Eccleston, because he could take his time, because it's a long one. I think I think Jordan did it, Katie Price, sorry. Barbara Windsor did it as well, I think. Quite a few of them went on and had a one-on-one hour
Yeah,
show with Piers Morgan. Johnny Rotten did as well, actually, I think, and he talked about the BBC and stuff like that without going into with it, because
mm.
it's obviously get demonetized. But yeah,
Yeah. It's just I think when these media organisations keep telling us how amazing they are, and yet you think, yeah, but the way you structure a program format is almost insensitive.
yeah.
And he's calling it out how difficult it is. And we're talking about helping men be emotionally intelligent and emotionally articulate, but the program makers are not.
No, they're completely oblivious to it. It's
I
this
mean,
churning out content, isn't it?
yeah. Could the one show editor be brave enough to drop the badges tonight?
Well, no, because you get fired.
Just tonight, we're dropping the badges. We'll have the badges tomorrow because we've got Chris Eccleston on talking about men's mental health. No, hurry up. Alex Jones, hurry him up. We've got the badges on in a minute. It's like, come on.
This is why you need like a more of a prime time slot where you can dedicate more time to it.
Yeah. And it is interesting what he was saying. And because he's been in Doctor Who as well, you feel for him, especially when it's sack Julie Gardner, sack Jane Tranter, sack Russell T Davies because of their care and compassion. He says, I still carry all the baggage about masculinity and toughness, and I was ashamed about my depression and eating disorder. He was never confused about his sexuality, although he says he has always appreciated male beauty. His relationship with his male friends has always been especially intimate. It's a terrible word, but there were suspicions because of how we were together. What Eccleston was actually hiding from his family were issues with food. These only became worse when he went into acting. So determined was he to look like Daniel Day-Lewis with his chiseled features. Anorexia, he says, is like being in hell. So, look, I applaud you, Chris Eccleston, for being so damned honest. I think you've broken a stereotype there. I think the media's not been able to kind of follow your journey in the same integrity. And our great producer, showrunner extraordinaire, maybe could have been a bit more sensitive with you.
He hits the nail on the head here, though, because he's mentioned anorexia and how his issues got worse when he went into the entertainment industry. And one of the things that is a pretty hefty deal within the entertainment industry is how your body shape is, how it looks, and things like that. Quite often see women like Victoria Beckham being criticized for how thin she looks, or Renee
Yeah.
Zellweger for how thin she is, and Nicole Kidman, I think, has been one in times past. And all of these people, all of these women are body shamed, but no one talks about it with the men.
Yeah.
So he's hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, he's outed an issue that isn't talked about as much because the very caring media seems to have not mentioned it too much. compared to other issues that they're going
Yeah.
about obsessively.
Yeah.
But I will say, Rachel, again, I am so intrigued
Yeah.
by our great actor here who did say, please
Fantastic.
let me consider me for Doctor Who. Because he'd worked with RTD before. It was a very stressful first block. And in that first block, for it, stress was high, tempers were high, people's treatment wasn't very good. And Chris Eccleston made sure people weren't facing an injustice. And he was also carrying a brand new show in its new format. And he was risking his career, Rachel, wasn't he, really?
Yeah, it's a huge risk to his career because they didn't know if it was going to work.
Nah.
They didn't think it. Well, they didn't really think it was going to. The BBC didn't think it was going to.
No.
But
No.
it did.
But he took a lot of risk. He wanted to carry the show. That must have been a lot of stress. Now we know he's got, well, you've got the issues mentioned there. I think there's a dyslexia as well. I think there's another issue.
Yeah, he mentioned at one point about dyslexia
And
and
look,
line changing.
yes, the
Rewrite.
many last minute redrafts by RTD, lastminute.com. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I've heard on a regular basis, not just from Chris Eccleston, from other actors who suffer from dyslexia but have had to deal with rewrites. There's an actress, I can't remember her name. She is dyslexic and has to learn from a tape all of her lines or a CD or whatever, however it is that she does it, because she can't read it. Well,
So
she
isn't it
can read
interesting?
it, but she might get it wrong.
So it's just interesting that RTD is obsessed with and fixated on the dark times we face. And when other people are facing very individual dark times, sorry, didn't catch that one. Oh dear, maybe you should be less pious, RTD. Gets on my wiki, does. But on this issue that Chris Eccleston bravely raises, obviously it brings into play our obsession recently, and we had a Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, don't you know, who thinks that every school in the country should be showing the 4-hour Netflix drama Adolescence because it hits on the issues of toxic masculinity. Now, having been a teacher in a secondary school and in English, I'm sorry, 4 hours. 4 hours. Number one, the kids will be bored because they don't just sit there for an hour going, oh my God, it's amazing this. No. Number two, they will sniff out that they're getting shown it because there's going to be a message attached. Isn't that why Doctor Who got into a mess?
Yeah.
I mean, and Rachel, you've seen kids. They can't watch a program for an hour, especially in a school setting.
No. What age group are they going to aim that at?
This was secondary school.
Secondary school. Just teach them Pygmalion and get them to watch My Fair Lady.
And be more interactive. Actually, you teach kids more by actually questioning them and putting them in scenarios in their head rather than making them be passive. Sorry, some of us are educationalists, and sorry, Keir Starmer, you ain't got a bloody clue.
Pygmalion is fantastic.
Yeah. But the thing is, you don't. 4 hours. Are we saying that the curriculum can bend enough to do a 4-hour Netflix program to teach something that a teacher could open their gob? Oh, honestly, I just wonder about this country sometimes. The leaders are rudderless, vacuous. Whether it's RTD, showrunners, everybody at the top who seems to think they've got an opinion, and half the time they just reveal their ignorance of many subjects, and you just think, shut up and let the experts do it. Anybody who's a legal expert, oh my God, Keir Starmer genuflects and curtsies to them. But an educationalist like me and you would go, hold on a minute, this won't work. No, you're doing it.
No, it won't. I would rather go with another round of To Kill a Mockingbird than do that. No, if you want, like I say, if you want to teach about misogyny, go with Pygmalion. That's a very good example. It's free. You don't have to pay for it, but you can also sit down and you can also analyze it. And then if you want to show them anything, show them My Fair Lady and show them what Rex Harrison does. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's fantastic, fantastic piece.
I'd also use the quotation from Macbeth when Lady Macbeth, a woman in a man's world, said, "Unsex me here." She tried to cast a
Yeah.
spell on herself to try and say, "I need to be more masculine, to be stronger, to survive."
Mm-hmm.
And that just shows you what a toxic world she was in. And yeah, so I think we could have done a better job, Rachel, I think.
You get so much more as well from sitting down and analyzing text and asking questions
Yeah.
about the text, you know.
Yeah, because the kids aren't stupid. Everybody's got to remember the kids are dying to learn. They wouldn't say that, but you posit a question, you posit a situation, and they're on it. You put a video on for 4 hours,
Nah,
they won't be on it.
that won't work because they'll switch off. They will switch off. When I did a To Kill a Mockingbird, we did the book first. I hated it, but I got a lot from it. And my question was on the court case, luckily, which was the bit that I found the most intriguing. So I ended up passing because of that. But and then we were showing the film after the fact, but
Yeah,
only after we had studied the text. We had to do the text first. We weren't allowed to do the film. And I also did Once in a House on Fire, which I can't really remember much about, but yeah.
but as these two
But full
writers say here,
text.
yeah, as
Not
these two
not
writers say here, I agree with them actually, which is you start preaching, particularly to the lads, because really this is an attack on the lads again,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is, yeah, I'm a 14-year-old, 13-year-old, 15-year-old lad. I've come to school. I'm being as good as gold. I've come to school. I behave. I'm in lessons. And you're preaching to me about toxicity in my gender. Oh, thank you. I needed that. But you're a decent little, young male. Why are we shouting and lecturing at young lads? And then the next minute, everyone's going in the country. There's a lot of angry young men about. Yeah, because they're sick of being patronised.
Mhm.
That's what.
Yeah.
Start.
It's gonna have the complete opposite
Yeah,
effect.
yeah.
'Cause they won't be able to critique it. They won't be able to analyze it. They'll just go, "Well, you're just talking about me."
And they attack. So they attack a lad for just being a lad. And that's not me being euphemistic. Just a young lad just being a normal young lad. And it seems to be kind of, oh, that's a bit dodgy. And then, of course, the media will start playing around with masculinity. So, of course, this is a joke one. And Disparu picked on this. Good on him. Mr. Miracle. If you look at him there, he's got lipstick on, and that this is the type of masculinity the media loves to focus on. Drag queens, they're playing with their sexuality, they're playing with makeup, they're playing with their, Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor with his gender pushing outfits. This is what the media love. But can just that little working class normal lad just see another normal lad on TV, please, since you all talk about representation?
Brendan, in this day and age, that's not gonna happen until they get it into their heads that people are not accepting the narrative that they want us to accept. I can't wait for Disparu's take on this.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, he's holding back there.
I think so.
But yeah, I mean, come on.
I
This
think
is,
so.
it's a laughing stock, honestly. So there we go. Just in case you couldn't see, there you go. There's masculinity. I'm a young lad, and I'm thinking, oh, this is me. This is me.
So you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. So the other version is because we talked about. So I've been
Yes.
forced to watch a 4-hour drama on in my class as this good, well-behaved 14-year-old lad. But I should really be a bit more like that animation. What about this one then? They'll still show you. I kissed a boy. It's they have one with like I kissed a girl, don't they? It's a whole blooming thing nowadays. They're obsessed with sex nowadays, aren't they?
Yeah.
TV because they're very moral. Anyway, this one it kicked off a little bit because in that whole range of obviously gay lads who are all going to cop off, basically that's the whole essence of it. One of them was trans.
Yes.
And the complaint was about the fact that this is where the dating agency, when people have talked about this in dating, that when you say, I am looking for this, and this, because they give you a list, that actually nowadays you have to say, well, even though I might be a gay man in this case, I have to accept that in this TV show or in your dating site, that I have to also look at trans. Oh, was it trans men? Is that
Yes,
what?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Uh,
right.
but we've all said it's a bit worse than that, because we all know what we go for. It's a simple thing,
Yeah.
body shape or things like that, and it's still it's a shame. It's not an attack on the trans issue, but forcing trans into this gay show, and they do a straight show as well, so it's fairness. I, I don't know why they're doing it. What, to be trendy?
Well, they're just trying to make it so that, this trans man that we've got here on the screen is a man too. So therefore, he should be considered a gay man, even though he's biologically female. So therefore, technically, still straight. And
And
also, it's forcing something that's potentially non-consensual onto the other men.
well, yeah, because they have to be. Remember, they're on TV. They don't want to be put in a situation where they look dodgy in
Yeah,
their attitude.
yeah. And if there's one that might accept it, then great. Knock yourself out. But there's a very good chance that none of those men will accept that because they're gay, so they don't want to date a trans man.
And again,
And
that
it's
means that,
important.
how is that good for the trans person that if they felt excluded? It's a risk.
Exactly. It's a huge risk to take. It doesn't help the trans person. It doesn't help the other men in this situation. It helps no one other than the production company.
Tick in a box.
Yes. And I don't like equating that to that.
And well, but my other thing is they quite rightly dropped the BAME acronym because it encapsulated too many people who were different from each other. And LGBTQ, sorry, by bundling all them together, we're not all the same. So I kissed a boy, it's a fella looking for a fella. And I mean, that's it at the simple level, that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And forcing your political agenda on top of that isn't going to help the trans person and isn't going to help the gay person who's going, I actually don't want to on TV look as though I've got a dodgy response.
Yeah. It's just not.
I mean, come on,
Oh.
producers. I'm really laying into the media tonight, Rachel.
Yeah, you're going for it.
Oh.
Carry on.
So, yeah, so there you go. This one, here we go. Did you see this one? Panel shows such as QI and Mock the Week will no longer have all-male lineups, the BBC's director of TV said. We're not going to have panel shows on anymore with no women on them. You can't do that. It's not acceptable. His comments came 2 months after the BBC Trust was reported to have told executives there was no excuse for not having more female panellists.
Okay.
Yeah. Mr. Cohen also said the BBC needed to get more older women on screen. Yeah.
Fair enough, yeah.
Tell Sue Barker. We're getting better, he told the Observer, citing the example of historian Mary Beard, but we need to get better still. And the last little bit here, the move follows criticism from Victoria Wood, who has, in the past,
Oh, okay.
they're bundled together. Do you know what I mean? It's like she's
My
been...
morbid thoughts then. Okay, it's been bundled together. Okay.
The journalism nowadays is all a bit, who has criticised such testosterone-fueled shows when she was alive, bless her, and she was parodying it. And Jo Brand, who said she no longer considered appearing on Mock the Week. In 2012, you see, that it's like a churn up of everything, isn't it? Caitlin Moran said she had been asked to appear on all the big panel shows, but had turned them down because I refused to be a token woman. I think that's a boys' game that works for boys. It's not like they've built it to... Blah, blah, blah. So, on the surface, Rachel, it just looks like, better representation. The article does go on a little bit more, but there was no need for me to clip it up. But basically, they were saying, but are there enough... I've watched some of these shows, and sometimes you see a little bit of the tick list going on, but the people who are definitely feel a bit tick list aren't funny.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? You know what everybody knows what I'm saying. It's like
I mean, I don't see the point in changing the lineup for QI. QI, is it QI? Yeah,
Yeah, because you've
QI,
got Sandy Pop,
and yeah, she's the presenter, isn't she?
yeah,
Yeah. And mock of the week. You know, fine, whatever. I don't mind. They could just create new stuff with
yeah.
new panels. In fact, there is I swear there's a TV show that's got a female lineup on it that is like a panel sort of thing, and I can't remember what it was called. And I swear I watched one of it the other night. It had Carol Vorderman, everyone's favourite,
All right.
and
Very limited.
what was the name? The actress Sally Lindsay. Sally
Yes.
Lindsay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and had those two ladies on it and a male presenter, but I can't remember who it was. So I think they're starting to do it, but I think they should just create new stuff. I get what she means though about the token women.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You freaked me out a bit there where I thought Victoria would have come back.
Yeah, I know. I honestly sometimes I sometimes do read these articles and going, oh my God, okay, well, you know what they do? They start with the headline and they churn through the last 10 or 15 years with examples.
It's not wrong, and obviously the format is formatted to men, but just create new stuff. Don't need to change the formula that you've got for the old stuff that works already.
And equally, bottom line is you're making TV, and in this case, you're making TV comedy, and make sure that the people you pick are funny. That's all it is.
Yeah. And comedy is hard, particularly. This is going to sound real sexist now, particularly for women.
Yeah, well, and
Women,
Victoria Wood, Victoria Wood and Joe Brand would have said so. In fact, Victoria Wood was the most successful female stand-up comedian, wasn't she, in Britain?
She was, yes.
You've got Joan Rivers, as was in America.
Yeah.
Who there were some standouts, but basically, yes, there were more. I remember watching that bloody awful. You're too young, but in the 70s, had the comedians on the telly. It was prime time, and it was all men with cigars and Bernard Manning and there was an Irishman, an Englishman, and a Scots. It was that type of thing, And yeah, we've broken through, and we've got some women now who are, French and Saunders, Joe Brand, Ruby Wax. You had some coming through, Sarah Millican.
I would say Sarah Milligan is probably our top one now, isn't she?
Yeah, I think so.
Losing Victoria Wood, because French and Saunders don't really do anything anymore.
No.
And they were more with around Victoria Wood's era, and Julie Walters, since Victoria died, doesn't really do comedy anymore. She sticks with the acting.
Yeah.
So
it's just it's how, because of the nature of where you got the stand-up comedians from, it tended to be clubs, late night venues. It was always harder for women. It shouldn't be, but women, family, kids. Who takes the responsibility the most? And maybe it was just a harder environment. That's how it's set up, isn't it? That's the thing. So that was the way. I threw this out here, on our great LGBT darling, Ian McKellen, on young gay actors who won't come out. Being in the closet is silly. Yeah, right, okay.
Okay.
Is it?
Well, a lot of actors choose to not release their sexuality because they don't want to be defined by it, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, because it could be activism, and again, just because. Well, I technically I was in the closet at school then because I didn't tell the kids. But the reason is I don't want to be an activist, a propagandist, or anything.
Yeah.
You just think, we don't all live in London, Ian.
No.
He should know that. He should know that better than many. So anyway, he goes on about this, and I know, I suppose deep down he's trying to make the argument that if you come out, you're liberating yourself. But that's assuming everything goes all right.
Yeah, that's true. Only if it goes all right.
Yes, he makes it sound as though now he's come out the other side and look at his career, still stellar, darling, that, come on, it's silly. And yes, you can make a retrospective argument. I can do it to myself. I think I came out when I was about 34, 35. Yes, Brendan, you were silly. You could have done it earlier. But there must have been a reason I didn't. Come on. So we're all in different situations.
Yeah.
This one, Wheel of Time showrunner admits he intentionally, right, showrunners, you know, we love them, admits he intentionally made the show, Wheel of Time, as LGBTQ plus propaganda aiming to normalise sodomy.
Well, that's going to go down well, isn't it?
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, I love a showrunner with an agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, beats writing it into the plot naturally, doesn't it?
It always tends to be LGBTQ agenda,
Yeah,
though, doesn't it?
yeah, it does. Yeah.
Oh, God. Do you want the agenda good entertainment? Good ratings, high ratings.
That would be nice.
Yes, it would. But you see, there's an agenda everywhere. Alan Cumming has been around for a while, and he was in
Yes.
Lux, obviously, for Doctor Who this year, but he's been
Yeah.
in Doctor Who before. Alan Cumming, host of The Traitors over in America, I think, is using his platform to push for more queer visibility in the media. Because there's none, Rachel. Did you know that? There's none.
Absolutely none. I didn't know
I
that.
remember Larry Grayson and Mr. Humphreys in the 70s, but there's none. There's none.
Absolutely none.
But the other thing is,
Rachel, episodes have value being served. Oh, carry on.
yeah. The other thing is, Rachel, though, and it's disappointing. You see Ian McKellen saying what he's saying, and I think in a clumsy way. You see RTD, what he's doing about dark times, and the next minute he does a Nigerian episode, and Ncuti goes along with it, and he's gay. And so it's like they're all ignoring truths. And then Alan Cumming goes on about queer visibility. Now, queer can mean straight. What is he saying? There's no straight visibility in the media. That makes no sense. Do you know, like we had the primary school head teacher who made no bloody sense. Well, he makes no bloody sense.
No, you're right. It doesn't make any sense. No, it doesn't.
But he gets an interview with the press because he's so trendy.
Yeah, because he's what they want.
Now, you love this one, Rachel. Rachel, you love the West End, you love musicals, and you found this one for us. EVITA, an outside balcony. So let me just get this right. Everyone who's not paid gets the big event when EVITA's on the balcony and does the big number.
Yeah, yeah. So, everyone's favourite, Rachel Zegler, is playing Ava Perón, and people got really angry because these particular theatre ticket prices, they're not cheap. They're like, they can go up to about £200. That's how expensive they are. Well, the director of this production, in his wisdom, Jamie Lloyd, I couldn't remember his name then, Jamie Lloyd has decided that the most integral moment and intimate moment of EVITA should be performed outside on a balcony so that all the boozers in the street can see Rachel singing and her understudy singing Don't Cry For Me, Argentina.
Get off! Get off!
Yeah, whilst the audience inside watches from a video screen. I don't know about you. Obviously, I'd have to experience it to know what that feels like. But I do know if I had paid anywhere in the region of the West End prices for such a short run show, that I would be mega irritated about having this particular song sung outside.
I know. Our director's getting so silly now. So it's a bit like, how people treat musicals sometimes.
Yes.
Although they're like the whole musical, there's certain bits there waiting for. So if it was Cats, you're waiting for Memory as one of them. So if Memory suddenly was, we want the cat, I've forgotten his name, he's going to go outside into the street. We're going to have him in the back street singing Memory. What? And everybody's in the bloody theatre going, can you imagine waiting for Elaine Page?
I was just about to say, you imagine Elaine Page or even Judi Dench, because Judi Dench would have done it at one point, I think.
Yes.
If I've got that correct. Being told, oh yeah, get out. Go and sing it outside whilst we do it via video link.
I mean, everybody...
They would have had enough power perhaps then to say, no, unfortunately, I don't think Rachel Zegler has that power to say, no. In actual fact, there was a rumor going around that she was at loggerheads with the director. Again. Could it have been over this?
It could be. Maggie, the other thing is, did you notice that second paragraph there? In the theatrical tactic, breaking the fourth wall. How
It's the
many
worst way.
times?
It's the worst way of breaking the fourth wall. Oh my goodness.
So I was starting to think of all the musicals, and I was thinking, oh my God. I mean, I love the Chicago. It's great because you've got the band on the stage, but oh God, can you imagine if they start doing some of the big numbers outside? Can you imagine if I Rich Man outside? Can you imagine
If the fiddler actually played on the fiddler on the roof.
he's on the roof? Oh,
On
he's
the
fallen.
fiddler
He's
outside.
fallen. He's dead.
Wow, very meta.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. In the interval, we've taken the actress to a circus. She's doing Send in the Clowns in there.
Oh,
Oh,
brilliant.
you know, I mean, what are you doing? Under the Sea, he's in the River Thames with all
Yeah.
the sewage.
Put him under there.
The
Under
Lion
the
King.
sea.
The Lion King, he's gone to Lagos. I mean, honestly, Pocahontas, gone back to
It's just
America.
gone back to America.
Mulan, China.
Well, they're bringing Hercules to the stage.
Yeah.
What are they going to do with the muses? Are they going to put them into a plate or something like that? You know, paint them onto a plate and have them dancing around on a plate or something?
Well, this is it. And Shrek, in the interval, she's had 50 burgers. She's trying to be princess. I mean, come on. Honestly, directors, stop experimenting. Just give us what we want.
I know what my friend would have said about this. She said it would have been it's swearing, unfortunately. The director had having a you know what.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said, and I haven't done the West End for a while, but yeah, prices up to 200 quid.
No, they're really expensive. And as this is only a short run because limited time for the actress and all of that. So they're going to crank those prices up to make the money for it.
Great. So clever. I'm just going to rattle through these just to show you that the week of Walk could go on forever every time. Walk UK council workers to take a right privilege test.
Oh gosh, they'll be found privileged immediately.
Yeah. Hertfordshire Council cancelled the VE Day anniversary parade because it's too elitist.
Sorry, what?
Didn't you know? It's too elitist.
Oh no! I mean, all those men died for elitism.
Yeah, probably most of them are working class as well.
Yeah, probably. And white.
So, again, I think my theme tonight, accidentally, Rachel, is people who have a tiny bit of information, but they've mostly been ignorant with too much power.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And just to conclude, Invincible co-creator Robert Kirkman stands by his race swapping in Amazon's animated adaptation. We have to recognise that a couple of dumb white guys made this comic book in the early 2000s and the world's changed.
Okay. So, and how do the original authors feel about this?
Oh, well, to use RTD's parlance, who bloody cares?
Oh, yeah, we can do whatever we want now we've got the license.
Yeah, Sutek's a dog. Yes, Omega is a Skeletor from He-Man. You know, RTD, we're all Doctor Who fans, does it with Doctor Who. Yeah. Total, utter disrespect. So, of course, who cares? I'm in charge now.
Exactly.
So, you know, I always end with the question, which is the walkest of the week for you? You've got the Ncuti Gatwa, Nadiya saying, you know, it's hard for Muslims, even though she had about 10 series. Easter cancelled, Chris Eccleston's interest in femininity, but a bit more issues there, actually. Toxic masculinity, adolescence lessons, I Kissed a Boy, the BBC panel shows, McKellen, EVITA.
Well, I think it's an easy one this week. Toxic masculinity.
I can't keep agreeing with you, can I? No.
I can if you want.
I, in a way, it's the same one, but I'm going more on the Chris Eccleston one.
Yeah.
Partly because of what he said about the media, that the media think they're so caring and crusading and campaigns and all the rest of it, and yet their formats are stifling, are old, are intolerant, are insensitive.
Yeah. That would have
And
been my second.
yeah.
If I had to choose a second, that would have been it.
So, obviously you don't normally, I mean, you're having a rest for a couple of days, but that's rare for you. So basically, your channel, of course, chat about it, don't shout about it. You don't shout about it. You're just there and you do a whole gamut of subjects, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. We cover all sorts of things, TikToks, entertainment, woke news, Doctor Who on a Sunday, unless, of course, it's a series going on, and then we stick to the weekend. So I do a bit of everything, and then we've got posts and polls and things like that. Yeah.
So do check Rachel's channel out.
Thank you.
Subscribe to it. Tell a friend about it. That's even better. I mean, I always say, just tell one person. Yeah.
Word of mouth is always very good.
So thank you very much, Rachel.
Thank you.
And well, that was the week that was woke. God knows what we'll have to face next week. But good night, everyone.
Subscribe. Good night.